There goes Chris.
Yep.
Wave at
All
him.
right. Well, we better get this shit started now.
Yep.
we only got like 10 good minutes left. All right.
Well, you might have 10 good minutes and 20 of golden opportunity. I mean,
Yeah. All right. Here we go.
We'll see.
Hello and welcome. You are listening to Ketchup is the Worst Condiment.
Hello, I'm Wiseman.
I'm Nicewonger.
And I am Glenn.
Come on, no whammies. No whammies.
Okay. Let's see what we got in this random wheel that's just off camera here.
It's at your house. Do we
it's
UPS
actually-
this to each other's
No.
house? Is that
Yeah,
what this is?
Did you notice this nice longer? It is paper.
It's
Remember
paper.
this.
Oh, I remember. It's
paper.
paper. It's
paper.
like
That's
he
right.
pulled it out. Yes.
Yes, he
Yep.
did.
Yep.
If you've been watching, you would have seen he legitimately had a sheet of paper.
I
Not
saw
a sound
that.
effect.
I
but-
have within my hand
Yes,
this piece of paper, and
mean-
the piece of paper actually has the subject on here.
it does.
We
Okay.
are, I mean, goodness, we are getting so,
Yes.
good on this podcast.
Oh,
Props.
yeah,
We have
absolutely.
props.
Props.
Look at that. Okay, so the subject, Saturday morning cartoons.
Oh, all right.
There it is.
All right.
Like you mean like the Powerpuff Girls that I have behind me?
Yeah.
I mean,
For
I
all
mean,
of-
if you want
all
to
of
go in
you-
that direction, sure.
Yeah.
I mean,
for those
that's
of you who
that's
don't see
easy.
what's happening because it's all audio, Glenn right now behind him has the Powerpuff Girls, and they're majestic behind
they are
him.
majestic. Yes.
Yes.
Did you say unlike me?
No, I said
Oh.
that. We're just sending already. We're just firing away, aren't we? All right.
Man.
Saturday morning cartoons.
Saturday
Yes.
morning cartoons. You know, I used to grow up watching a lot of Saturday morning cartoons. I'd watch Rocky and Bullwinkle, G.I. Joe, Transformers. You know, all like 5 o'clock in the morning. Yeah, Rocky and Bullwinkle. It would have the old episodes of Rocky and Bullwinkle
Rocky
or Mr.
and
Magoo.
Bullwinkle.
Yeah.
Yes. Rocky and Bo.
With
I
Boris
grew
and
up with them
Natasha.
too.
Yeah.
Yes. Boris and Natasha.
Boris, the squirrel has gotten away.
Looney Tunes. That was a Saturday morning
Oh,
cartoon.
Looney Tunes, man. That's probably
I
my
would-
favorite.
Right?
Yeah,
I literally watched some Looney Tunes the other day and brought in Christina's kids, actually Destiny, to watch them because I'm like, this is old school. My favorite Looney Tunes cartoon is the one with the frog that they find in a construction site. They open it up, the frog or this guy finds it. This degenerate vagabond finds it. Homeless man, I think is what they call it. Yeah.
Is he the opera singer?
Yeah, and every time he opens it up, the frog starts singing, "Hello, my honey, hello, my baby,"
yeah.
and he's like, "I'm going to
Oh,
make millions off this," and then he does it in front of other people. Nothing.
Yeah, I remember that one now.
They end up sending him to a loony bin. He's like singing off to
Really?
the side,
Wow,
and
that's
anytime
dark.
someone comes in, it stops singing. It just makes a ribbit sound. Oh,
Yeah,
I
I
only
remember-
like that because that's my curse. That feels like that is what would happen to me right there.
Are you the frog or the homeless man?
No, I'm the homeless man that finds something that should make me millions of dollars, and I invest the little pennies I have, and nothing. It
Nothing.
just croaks at people.
Yeah, didn't he end up playing Madison Square Garden or something?
Yeah,
How the
no,
hell? How did he get that gig with absolutely no song?
he ended up what that was he ended up using his own few scraps of money to buy a theater and put that up himself.
Wait a minute, he bought a theater.
Somehow he had money enough to buy
He's
a theater.
homeless, but he had enough.
Look,
Okay,
I
I
just
feel like
I
the
get it,
story
yeah.
is a bit
maybe he ends
construed here.
up homeless. That's what
I
it
think
is.
that may be
He
it.
ends
Yeah.
up homeless. He started out the construction worker and ended
just
up
a kind of
homeless.
talent
Yeah.
scout.
Okay.
Go ahead
all
and
right.
reverse that whole story.
Yeah. All
But,
You know,
right.
I
either
had
way.
one that was
Yeah.
it was Wile E. Coyote, but it didn't have the Roadrunner. It had the sheepdog. Chris, you remember this one?
Yes, the sheepdog.
Glenn, do you remember this? So
remember
the
the
whole
sheepdog.
bit of it, yeah, the whole bit of it, it was that Wiley was trying to get after the sheep, but he had to punch in, and so he and the sheepdog both were like, good morning, Carl. Good morning, whatever, Glenn or whatever his name is. I'm using your name for instance for
I see
lack
that.
of
Rick and
another.
Carl. I don't. That's
Yeah.
what we used. Yeah.
Yeah, and so just clock in, morning, and then they clock in with that little punch card, and then he's going after it, and every single time the sheepdog's like beating the snot out of him, or like throwing a rock on his head, or whatever happens, he gets thwarted. Of course, by the end of it, like you hear the whistle blow, and then they just like clock out. Good night,
Yeah.
Carl. Good
Like
night,
the
Rick.
minute that whistle blows, no matter what they're doing, they're friends again, and they're clocking out. And the
It was
the thing I
entertaining.
love about this is Chris and I would do that to each other, walking down various halls. If we were walking by each other, I'd say Carl. He'd say Glenn. Was it Glenn? I can't remember who it was that we would use the names. Frank, Carl,
Frank.
Steve. Was it Frank?
It was
Okay.
Frank and Carl.
No, we can't use
Was
Steve.
it Steve?
It was Steve.
Not
wasn't
Can't
Steve.
it?
use Steve.
Can't
No, we
use
can't
Steve.
use Steve.
Steve's dangerous.
Steve.
No.
We're
Steve
leaving
is-
Steve out of this. Yeah.
Steve's a killer.
Steve is
Presumed.
a killer. We don't talk about Steve.
He's still out there somewhere.
Steve is he's waiting for that zombie apocalypse
That's right.
so that he can make his appearance. Oh god, that's great. Glenn, what was your Saturday morning cartoons?
Well, let's see. Looney Tunes. I mean, you got to say Looney Tunes. I watched a lot of Looney Tunes. I don't recall that one. I actually had just watched a Looney Tunes. I think it was last week or something. It was Marvin the Martian, which I really enjoyed. I don't feel like Marvin got enough exposure. I don't know why I say that. I just don't recall a lot of episodes with him, but I really enjoyed it. I was working and it happened to be on the television, so I watched that, and then after that, Tom and Jerry was on. I know Tom and Jerry's been rebooted at least twice, I think, and now I know they talk, or at least in one of the renditions they talk, which I didn't care for. It wasn't my thing, but this wasn't that. It was one of the old ones where they still had no. They didn't have a line, which is great, and it was one of the ones that they were in the supposed future, and they were making like robots, cats, and robot mice, and they were doing battle and stuff. I don't know, man. I really love Tom and Jerry. I think that was probably one of my favorites. Scooby-Doo. I watched Scooby-Doo as well. I recall seeing a lot of Scooby-Doo.
Oh yeah, for sure.
I think that Tom and Jerry is why our generation's able to pantomime and get our point across. Because we grew up with no words. Like Sylvester
Looney Tunes
Stallone.
had nothing.
Yeah.
Sylvester Stallone?
Sylvester Stallone. Oh,
That's
man.
a hell of a cartoon.
Yeah, Sylvester, going after
Sylvester
Tweety.
the cat. Yeah.
He wouldn't say anything, but Tweety could talk for some reason. I guess because she was a canary. Is
Well,
that why she
Sylvester
could-
spoke a lot.
Sylvester did speak,
yeah,
actually.
he had the lisp.
Right.
Yeah, but I don't remember in the Tweety and Sylvester particular ones. He didn't really say much.
He may
Oh.
not have had much to say, but he did speak.
Okay.
Yeah.
Some.
Well, Tweety
Even-
definitely
Yeah.
overspoke.
Because even Granny spoke on that one, remember?
Uh-huh.
Granny, the lovely little lady who had...
All you saw was the stockings.
Yeah.
Well, sometimes you saw the stockings. Other times you actually saw Granny.
Yeah. So I don't
Yeah.
know why you'd keep a bird and a cat. Especially when the bird kept on getting
Unattended.
out. Yeah, unattended.
Funny enough, I can tell you the one episode I saw, which I'm so happy. It's like that homework I watched, yet we didn't get homework for this, but yet
No.
here we are. But no, it was two different grannies. We're going into a home that wasn't supposed to have pets, or an apartment that wasn't supposed to have pets. So first granny was the granny we've seen from Looney Tunes. She sneaks in Tweety, and then another woman who happened to be residing in the apartment next to Tweety brought in Sylvester. And then that's how they kept meeting each other. That's how
Really?
they kept trying to get each other.
Oh, that's interesting.
Yeah,
I
yeah,
did
it
not
wasn't-
know that.
Well, in the episode I seen, let's just assume there are various different Tweety and Sylvesters out there
Okay.
to watch. So the
Because
one I
I-
saw,
Yeah, I feel like because some of them were definitely in a home, not an apartment, I think. I feel like there was like pies on the windows and such.
yep, there were pies on the window. That's what I remember as well.
It's kind of an origin story.
Yeah. Also, for Super Friends, I would wake up as early as I had to watch the old Super Friends. You know, the Meanwhile at the Hall of Justice Super Friends.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Yes. And the
Okay.
Legion of Doom.
The Legion of Doom.
Yeah, Legion
See-
of Doom are much cooler, by the way.
When it came to anything DC, I watched. It was after it was after school. It wasn't on a Saturday, but it was after school, and it was on Nick at Night. But it wasn't necessarily night. But so it was Nick. There you go. So, but it was the Adam West Batman.
Oh, I thought you were going to say the George Reeves Superman.
No, the Adam West Batman,
Yeah.
and of course it being what was it in the 50s, 60s,
Mhm. Yes.
give or take.
Is this
I
a
think it
cartoon?
was-
Are we still
for
talking about
whatever-
cartoon?
Well,
No,
Cartoon,
we digress
show.
over
It's
to
not a
something
cartoon.
else.
Okay.
Actually,
listen, this is
the
a
Adam West
podcast
Batman
of
yeah,
digression. Okay,
Yeah,
I'm going to say it was 60s because the Batman movie
Yes.
was 1968.
yeah. I think it was
there you go.
59 or 58 because they have action figures out of Batman 1958. So yeah,
Yeah,
and that's the Adam West version.
my brother
I
and
will
I. I
also
mean, we
say-
were hanging on every episode. It would leave you on a cliffhanger, and it's so. I mean, for kids of the '90s, you're watching something from the '60s, and you're like, "This is cheesy," but by the end of the episode, you're like, "What happens next? I want to know.
I love
This
Batman.
is good."
I mean, it's
It's
not a
even
cartoon,
better
but it was
now.
great. Oh, it's
Yeah.
it's still
And-
just as good. All of
and
this
I
is
will say-
still just as
Oh,
good, honestly.
It holds
Yeah.
up. Yeah.
Yeah.
It holds
I
up.
will
I even
say-
introduced my kids to the Adam West Batman movie, the motion picture, with the bat ladder and the shark spray and all that stuff.
Pull out the shark spray. If you watch closely in that episode, he has multiple different fish sprays, and he just happened to have shark spray. There was like stingray spray and
Oh, was
bat
there?
shark spray. Yeah, I was like, oh,
I
he
didn't know
came
that.
prepared for
I
4
guess-
different fish.
I have that movie somewhere. I will watch
Yeah.
that and look for it.
But the reason we can bring Adam West in from cartoons over is because they also played in the old Scooby-Doo cartoons. There was a crossover
That's true.
where
There
where
was.
they went and helped Batman and Robin, and it turned out to be the Joker or something. I
Yeah,
don't
Scooby Doo also, I believe, had Harlem Globetrotters.
Yes.
Yeah, they did.
They did. Harlem Globetrotters actually seemed like, I feel like they did a lot of crossovers. I don't know. It feels like I don't recall what else there might have been, but I feel like they were in several different things for some reason. Like, for all I know, they were in Josie and the Pussycats as well. I don't know that for a fact, though.
You know,
Hmm.
I've mentioned movies I wasn't allowed to watch as a kid due to certain aspects. Scooby-Doo was another cartoon I wasn't allowed to watch. And come to find out later on, was ridiculous because it was never a ghost. Was it always like someone else? I couldn't understand that.
That was the point.
You were being refused of watching this cartoon because it was like, no, it's satanic. It's got a ghost in it. And then every
Yeah.
single time,
Never
nope,
a ghost.
Nope, it's just a person.
It was
Nope,
it's
it's just
never a
It's
ghost.
old man
some
Crothers or
tycoon.
something.
some tycoon trying to run off somebody else's business and trying to gain control. Nope.
And they always didn't it always end with I would have gotten away with it if it wasn't for those meddling kids. Like
That's right.
And that pup, Ruby, Ruby, Ruby.
Ruby dooby doo.
which one did you guys like Scrappy Doo?
No.
No, I
Was that-
couldn't get behind it.
No, I feel like Scrappy Doo was the Oliver of the Brady Bunch. I mean,
They were jumping the shark trying to save it. Is that what was going on?
I feel like that's what happened there. Yeah, it was
Chris, you
terrible.
brought up Scrappy. Did you like Scrappy?
I know, hated him.
Okay.
Like
Yeah, see?
when I was the problem
Wow.
was I was sneaking these episodes of Scooby Doo anyway. Like in my room,
Rebel.
huddled next to the TV, listening at a very quiet because I didn't want them to walk in and be like, "What are you watching?" And I'd have been like, "I would have got away with it if it wasn't for those meddling parents." No, then I would have gotten in big trouble for back talking. That's
Oh yeah, for sure.
You know, I think that is
Yeah.
one of the very few times we've all agreed on something.
that's true.
yeah.
That's
True.
welcome.
Nobody likes Scrappy. we don't
Nobody
talk
likes
about Scrappy.
Yeah, I guess.
Get him out of here.
Scrappy and Steven, man.
we don't.
Very two different reasons why we don't talk
Right.
about either one of them.
We're not scared of Scrappy.
We should be though.
Yeah,
what about
maybe.
okay? So since we're talking about Saturday morning cartoons, I'm going to say two things. One, another favorite of mine in the Looney Tunes was Pepe Le Pew.
Oh
The
yeah.
second thing I'm going to say is they tried to cancel Pepe Le Pew.
Pepe Le
'Cause
Pew was a
apparently
stalker.
He was a stalker, man. Very stalkerish. Yeah. I
I don't know. He was
realize-
just smitten, right? Like he just kind of
No.
followed her around.
Everywhere.
I now realize I learned
Yeah.
most of my
Yeah.
ways of women through Pepe Le Pew.
Oh, yeah.
That's my problem right
That's
there.
That's
poor.
what's wrong.
Yeah. No, Pepe was not a good upstanding character, man. He
was not a good role model.
He chain smoked, and he did anything he could to get the woman. I mean,
Yeah.
anything he
But
could.
you know what? I mean, if there's ever any kind of something to learn from each and every episode, is that Pepe Le Pew, man, you couldn't bring that guy down.
Oh no!
Like it didn't matter what happened, he was
He
still
was
on the up and
determined.
up. He was,
Yeah.
he's like,
He was
she's
up.
hard
Have
to,
you
hard
ever
to
thought-
get.
Yeah.
Maybe the cigarettes weren't tobacco.
Oh.
No,
Just like,
didn't really think about that.
He,
I was
Just
too
like
young
in-
at the time.
yeah, I was
the
too. I just
Roadrunner.
thought of it now.
What was it? Was it the Roadrunner? There was another one where there was mice, and one was a Mexican mice that always was very slow. And I'm guessing
It was.
because he
You're
was
talking
stoned
Speedy
all the time.
Gonzalez.
Yeah,
Is that
Speedy
Speedy
Gonzalez.
Gonzalez?
And there
And
was
his friend-
Ándale.
Pedro?
sl-
I don't know his
I
name.
think it was Pedro, the slow guy.
Was it Pedro?
I think
yeah,
so.
and he was always like, "You're not."
was very,
gonna
very
catch
slow.
them." I just, I'm now putting this together. Of why he was like that.
I feel like he had like some sort of like I don't know thyroid problem or something. I don't think he just had it in him. Low testosterone, maybe. I don't know.
I mean,
think
it
was
makes
medical.
sense. It also makes sense why Shaggy and Scooby were constantly eating. They were always craving.
That was alluded
Oh,
to
yeah.
many times, but really, even in
That
the
was.
movies, which I love. I love the live action movies. I watch them. I wish they made a third
Right.
one. I'm so upset they didn't make a third one. But yeah, it was always alluded to, but never punched all the way. And they did
Not
it
all the
just
way.
right.
Yeah.
I mean, you really thought they had lots of Mystery Machine with smoke pouring
Yeah.
out of everything.
Yeah.
They're always eating. Yeah, Scooby snacks. I mean, great.
Even in this song, even mentions the doobie. Scooby Dooby
Scooby
Doo.
Dooby.
oh my god, I
Doo.
never thought of that.
Oh my
Yeah.
god! What did you just realize this?
No,
this-
I've kind of known that for a little while.
I just realized-
kind of
I just-
realized that
I've
they
learned something
insinuated that.
today.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Wow. Very nice. So Scooby Doo.
because his
Looney
name was
Tunes.
Scooby Doo, but then they
Yeah.
called him Scooby Dooby Doo.
Yeah. Hey Scoob sounds a lot like Hey,
Hey, Doob.
Doob. Yeah.
We might be looking a little.
Yeah, we're going a little too deep into
I
this
think we
one.
may be
aren't
going a
we?
little deep into it, maybe.
Yeah. You're-
Yeah.
It
Reel it
wasn't
back a
hidden
little bit,
at
boys.
all.
Reel it back a
Yeah.
little bit. This is
All
a
right,
conspiracy theory time.
Oh,
On the
hey,
next
I
one.
do have to. I mean, we are going to mention cartoons, and we had already kind of touched on Batman. I do got to give a shout out and a tip of the hat to Mr. Kevin Conroy, the voice of the animated Batman. God rest his soul. Man, he was an iconic voice character for me growing up, watching the animated series of the Batman. That was so for a kid who grew up watching the Michael Keaton Batman, and then to see that intro, I thought it was the coolest cartoon, almost like a graphic novel come to life type of thing.
Glenn,
and then
do you know
just
what
to
we're talking
have
about?
that voice,
No.
so
Okay.
good, so good.
So the 1989 Michael Keaton Batman came
Right,
out.
I remember
and then
that one.
Shortly after that, in like 1990 or something like that, the Batman animated series came out, and they used the exact same composer.
It was Danny Elfman.
Oh,
Danny Elfman. They
I know
use
of his
exact
work.
same Danny Elfman's theme music from Batman in this cartoon, and it's basically just feels like a continuation of that cartoon.
Oh.
Kevin Conroy is the man who voiced Batman from that point forward. And
even
video
in some of
games,
the video
Arkham
games.
Asylum,
Yeah.
yeah, all the video games he played him. Yeah,
He was the equal to Mark Hamill's Joker.
Yeah.
Yeah, he was like as iconic as Mark Hamill is for playing the Joker. Even I think for a lot of people, even more so than Luke Skywalker himself. I mean, there's something to be said there. But Kevin Conroy was his equal in voice acting for the role as Batman. And in fact, they even roll that over into the games. Mark Hamill would play as the Joker, and Kevin Conroy would reprise his role as Batman, and even in the video games. So,
Yep.
yeah.
And that was a cartoon I would rush home from school and watch after
Oh, yeah.
school. Not so much Saturday morning cartoon. It was a after school every night cartoon.
Yeah.
Which is great. So, yes, we talked about that. What any other Saturday morning cartoons you can think of? Because we only really talked about, what, 2? Looney Tunes and, for me, Superpowers.
Well, Looney Tunes covers a lot, though. I mean, Porky Pig is Looney Tunes, right? Yeah.
True story.
Bugs Bunny, Daffy Duck. Because I mean, we won't go into that, but the evolution of Daffy Duck, the way he used to act, the whole woohoo 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 to the very
Cynical.
I don't know, cynical. Yeah, that's a great word to use. Very cynical Daffy Duck. Whenever they would pair him with Bugs Bunny, and Bugs Bunny would be kind of like the sly, character. What was another one?
I don't know. As I said,
Well, I mentioned G.I. Joe, right?
Yeah,
And
I
of
feel like
course,
that was
I
an
mean-
after school one for me though. For some reason, I don't feel like that was
No,
Saturday
for me, it
morning.
was
but I
early
don't
in the
recall.
morning.
I don't recall.
I would
now.
get up at 5:00 in the morning because I was an early riser for whatever reason, and
cartoons.
yeah, well,
Yeah.
absolutely. And I wouldn't get bothered. Like it was back to back to back cartoons, and nobody was there
Right.
to bother me. I'd sit
Until
there
it
with
was
my bowl of
time
cereal.
for
and
wrestling.
yeah, and then at the end of every single
Yeah.
episode of G.I. Joe would be the educational promo, and knowing is half the battle. G.I. Joe.
Transformers is another one I watched a lot of actually. I did watch a lot of Transformers.
I wasn't allowed to watch G.I. Joe.
The
War.
American hero?
Yeah. the
No,
American
it's
Hero.
patriotic. It's patriotic. Yeah.
Wow.
Yep.
Wow. Okay.
Yep. Never. I wasn't
Well, there you
allowed to watch G.I. Joe or He-Man's. He-Man.
I watched
and then
He-Man, yeah.
Master of the
Yeah.
Universe.
Yeah.
Because of something about the power of Grayskull, I have no idea what that is. Other than that's something G.I. Joe. No, He-Man
No.
said.
Yeah, I don't. It was.
By the power of Grayskull.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
think it
I
was his
wasn't
hereditary
allowed to
power
watch-
or something,
Something
wasn't
like
it?
that.
Something like that. I
Yeah.
don't recall now.
Smurfs. Wasn't allowed to watch Smurfs.
I
Or
watched
the
a lot of
Snorkels?
Smurfs.
I don't understand why I wasn't allowed to watch the Snorkels.
I
of
don't
all
know. I didn't
times.
watch the Snorkels. I know of the
I did.
Snorkels.
I did watch the Snorkels.
I know of
Yeah.
it. They were the underwater Smurfs, basically, weren't they?
That's I think that's why I wasn't allowed to watch because that's exactly what they were. They were underwater Smurfs.
That's what I feel like. I mean, they were just
And they had the little
Yes.
little horn on top of their head.
an
that-
inferior
Yeah, I'm-
Smurf.
Yes, I'm assuming that was what the snorkel was that weird horn on top of their head.
yeah.
Yeah.
Oh,
I don't know why that gives me such joy to say. Inferior
Um,
Smurfs.
what is it? The
Furious Smurf.
Tiny Toons. Tiny Toons would be after
love
school.
Tiny Toons.
That was around
Yes.
during the times of the Kevin Conroy Batman as well.
Mm-hmm.
Was Tiny Toons and Animaniacs.
I could not stand Animaniacs.
What?
You know what? It was hit or miss for me. It really
Yeah.
was. It's funnier now as an adult, but maybe I didn't get the humor.
I think that's what it was.
Oh,
I
I
didn't
love
get the
it.
humor.
I didn't have the patience because it wasn't really. It didn't feel like it was a very fast-moving cartoon at times. I don't know. It was okay. It was not my favorite. As I watched it as an adult, I appreciate it more.
I enjoyed it because growing up, I used to watch a lot of different movies. My dad would raise me on a lot of the old black and whites, a lot of the old B movies. And many times, Animaniacs would make references to some of those older movies, hitting that adult humor. And there was at one point where they were showing this scene, and it was an introduction to the Grapes of Wrath. And I remember laughing so hard, and here I am, a young kid, and I'm getting it. But it was geared for the adults.
Obviously, I was not an adult.
You are not
I
an
was
adult.
No. Nothing has really changed. I thought, like, my attention span was not able to pick up that. So I guess what Glenn said about it being too slow.
Yeah.
And it's kind of like the British humor you say I never get. It's just over my head.
Yeah.
I hated Animaniacs. Anyway, Tiny Toons, though. Tiny Toons.
I hate those damn Animaniacs.
Yeah. Nope. Tiny Toons taught me water goes down the hole.
Water go down the hole.
Water go down the hole.
Yeah, I'm
It
not
was,
getting that reference.
It was
Glenn-
it was Plucky. It was
Yeah.
it was the miniature Daffy Duck version of the Tiny Toons. His name was Plucky, and wasn't it a special or a movie or something
don't
like that
remember
where they
what
were
it
on a
was.
road trip and where he was like supposed to be like a baby. It was a memory of some sort, and it was his infatuation of the toilet, and it was water go down the hole.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't think I was much of a Tiny Toons thing. I think I was too old for cartoons at this point, maybe. I feel like if you said it was like 89, 90, I mean, I was an
Gulf War?
adult. 90, I was already, good Lord, I was already overseas. So, no.
While you were defending our country, we were enjoying
You
the
know what?
freedom we had.
There you go. That's
Yes.
that's
right.
why I joined, so you may enjoy your cartoons.
There,
Yes.
and see, comes right back around.
That's
Here we
right.
are.
I got no problem
Water
with
go down the hole.
Thank you for your service, sir.
that. Apparently, water go down the
Which,
hole.
sadly enough, is what I say while I'm plunging the toilets to this day. Please, water, go down the hole.
Oh man,
It's quite horrible. Yeah.
I can't think of any other cartoons, honestly, that I enjoyed in the morning.
What? Oh, did they have to be Saturday? I guess the
Well,
rule was
it was Saturday
morning.
morning. Yeah, I mean,
The board
but that
spoke.
makes sense. I don't think it's not like that anymore. I mean, we didn't have Cartoon Network or anything. I mean, yeah, we had nothing. It was Saturday on channel whatever, like 5 or 3 or wherever
Yep.
the hell you were. I mean, just you had what 6 hours of cartoons, and then then it was time for, in my case,
Work?
It was
Yeah.
no. We watched. I think it was I think we watched WWF, and then after that, I feel like it was a Creature double feature, but it may have been the other direction. I don't know, but those are the things I
Wow.
remember. The Creature
Did
double
you ever
feature
watch?
from Boston on channel, I don't know, 56 or 38 or something. If anybody's from that area, they'll probably remember it as well.
Hmm.
I don't know.
Somebody's shouting as they're listening to this right now.
It's like it's 38, you dumb bastard.
And then they're shouting, "That's not how I sound."
That's true. Yeah,
It's
that's
like,
probably true. Yeah, that's true. But
So
yeah.
I'm wondering, since you grew up on the East Coast,
Yeah.
New Hampshire, and we grew up in Central America, if the
Central
cartoon-
America? Are you Panamanian
Central
or something?
of America. Sorry about that.
From
The
Nicaragua?
center of America.
Speak for yourself.
That's
Yeah,
called the
if-
Midwest in most cases.
Yeah, I couldn't remember what it was called. I was just running with the Central America, and then you called me out. No, if we got a different kinds of cartoons than you did, like on
I don't
Saturday
think
morning.
so.
I
wonder if that
it's
was
hard
a
to say.
regional
I don't know
thing.
if that was really a regional thing, but it may have been. I mean, who's to say? I don't think it was, though, really. I mean,
I don't know,
know.
Glenn, did you have the animated Beverly Hillbillies like we did?
okay.
I
I was like, that's not really a thing, is it?
No.
the WWE had their own. The WWF at that time had their own cartoon. Did you remember that? With
Nah.
Junkyard Dog and Hulk Hogan. and they
I
I
ride
feel
around
like I remember
solving
it, but
crimes.
I don't remember watching
Yeah.
that as a child. No.
I assume, just because this is what I've thought of New Hampshire, is that you woke up by a ding of a bell and you came down and someone had your coffee and strudel ready
Coffee?
for you.
Oh, we drank
Coffee
tea.
and strudel. Okay, tea
It's tea.
and scones
And
ready for
scones.
you.
Oh man.
And,
There you go.
And,
Nice scone.
And you walked into your luxurious living
Yes.
room, and they were already tuning in what cartoons you would watch.
Ah, is that what you think? Well,
That's what I
Down on
think. That's
the
at New
old
Hampshire.
pleather couch.
Yes, yes.
I,
Whereas,
I'm going to remind you one more time. I didn't grow up in New Hampshire. I grew up in Connecticut.
Oh, well, crap.
Yeah, I mean, it's a reoccurring gag at this point about New Hampshire things, but
yeah.
I'm not from New Hampshire. I grew up in Connecticut. Is there a difference?
For
To
those
you,
of you
probably
listening,
not.
Can you remember? Yeah. For those of you listening, can you please remind us of why we say New Hampshire?
I don't know why.
I think listener-wise, we've lost the entire state of New Hampshire.
Oh, probably. They're like, he's not
Like,
even.
I'm done.
He's not even from New Hampshire. What a. I'm not listening to this anymore. That was the only thing I had.
There might be one or two of those podcast listeners that are like, he knows exactly how I wake up on a Saturday
Oh,
morning
nobody wakes up like that.
to a bell, and they come downstairs
Yes.
for their tea and scones.
That's right. No.
But you know what? As long as there's not tea, scones, and a little bit of ketchup to put on top of it.
Why?
Thank you for spending your time with us here at Ketchup is the Worst Condiment. If you have any questions, comments, or suggestions, you can contact us through email at ketchupistheworstcondiment@gmail.com.